lawyers just want to have fun. Not bad, not bad at all. How you all doing? Doing fine. Okay, tonight we are flipping the game a little bit, okay? And please, let me tell all the lawyers here, we have guests amongst us. So loosen up a bit and behave. All right? No legalese for some time, okay? All right. Welcome to Entertainment Law with RMD, courtesy of SBL. Put your hands together for that. Okay. We are supposed to be recording this, so, you know, everything that you record is deliberate. So sometimes we might tell you to pause, rewind, or anything that we feel like doing. But tonight, we want to look at entertainment law in a more relaxed avenue, in a more relaxed manner, with a few people that really do traverse the law, both as performers, as advisors, or as in-house counsel, and as legal practitioners. We have a fantastic lineup like you've seen, but it's not everybody that you saw, everybody's name that you saw up there that is here. We have a lot more people here. So just to go ahead and invite my first guests for tonight. If you're not too busy, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Ikechukwu or Biaya and Mr. Osere Alakume on stage. Okay, as they make your way, please. My band, watch, all right? Make sure you herald every of my guests one time, all right? Welcome. Please. Okay, so my first guest, I'll be firing away first with Mr. Osere Alakume. My question is, you have provided high-level business advisory services to a wide range of players in the entertainment industry. Give a sectorial perspective to the development of a vibrant and robust industry in Nigeria. And also, if there are lessons to be learned from your experiences of where else you have worked. And you have 4 minutes.
Can I have a minute?
Okay, please do.
Thank you, RMD. Thank you very much, everyone, and thanks for this opportunity. I think we have quite a wide industry, and every time people talk about the entertainment industry, everybody seems to think of movies only. But we do have filmed entertainment, we have music, we have the internet, online, we have skits, comedy, and I think there's quite a lot that has happened in that industry and quite a fair bit that we need to do. So I think I'll probably focus more on some of the things that I have seen and that I feel will be very relevant to us in what we do. Both from an operational perspective as a service provider, of which lawyers are service providers too. So, and I think the first bit that I'd like to tell you is everybody talks about technology as a disruptor. What I've seen is that technology has been an enabler. It hasn't changed what needs to be done. It's just changed the way that we've done things. And I think the first thing that we needed to do was embrace technology in both the platforms that is used for distributing the content, in the way that we do things, and how to make it work better. Another way that we've seen technology work has been around how we even produce both movies, songs, and all those dimensions of it. The other thing that we've seen that has changed a lot and has helped in some of the other markets has been around data and statistics. So it's been a big Achilles heel for our industry here. I've had the benefit of meeting with a number of potential investors, and the first thing they always ask after, where is the data? What statistics do we have? I think as an industry, one of the things we need to do is consciously set up hubs where we gather all our data that we can use in being able to sell the wonderful things that we do here.
One of the things that we want to take away from this show is for lawyers to be able to participate in the entertainment industry, for as many that want to do so. Find the revenue streams and all of that. Prof, can I call you Prof or just Doctor? Okay. You have done extensive research in Nollywood. So tell me, what are the factors militating against the enhancement of the structure of the industry and the growth and the quality of the product that is delivered in Nollywood?
Well, the first thing I would say really is if you look at the country as a whole, it's amazing what's going on. Because although you've asked me about the film industry, I would say that the creative industries as a whole is exploding. Okay, and it is actually from this that we can draw out one of the factors that needs to be dealt with. In the first place, education.
When you say exploding, is it in terms of just outputting or in all its ramifications? There's revenue to be seen in this explosion. Is it everything or just in terms of the numbers of things that happen, music, films?
In terms of the numbers of people going into these fields, in terms of the revenue, which I think most of it is not captured. We tend to focus only on music and film, for instance, but there's also art. What is going on in the world of art? There's also fashion. All of these are areas in the creative industries that are truly booming. And you see that there's quite a lot of revenue in this. Most of it, like I said, is not captured. Okay, because one, the structures are missing. Many people go into this field and, well, they do need some guidance, they do need some training. And part of the problem, as we can see in the film industry, for instance, is a lack of a legal structure in various aspects. So that you will find out that people are going into this field, but many of them do not have the guidance of, okay, a firm contract to be sure that they are getting the most of what they should get. You will find also that people tend to lose out a lot because they do not always know the best way to make the most of what they have. You also see that in terms of the legal structure to protect their work, we're talking now of copyright, many of them also lose out on this aspect. So that these are some of the problems you find in the aspect of structure. Similarly, since we're talking about the film industry specifically, the problems with distribution, the problems that you have also with ensuring that, well, pirates are dealt with, so that they really get all that they should be, that is meant to come to them. But then, like I said earlier, the problem of putting in the structure in terms of personnel. For instance, there is
Who sets up the structure? Who? Because sometimes we tend to just reel off the problems that there are no structures. Who sets up the structure? If there are no legal structures within the entertainment industry, for instance, who sets up the legal structure? How do lawyers get into the entire frame and set up legal structures? What is the entry point for lawyers? Is there like a barricade against lawyers, or lawyers don't want to, because it is not a traditional setting for lawyers, they don't go into it?
I think the problem, if you look, because most of what we have in the creative industries are in the informal sector. And those in the formal sector, which is where I would place lawyers, which is where I would place the bankers, are a little bit afraid of what you can say is the unknown. What you can say does not fit into their own structures. So they are a little bit afraid of entering into that territory, but there are no barriers. There are no barriers whatsoever, okay? Because the industry is such that, well, you do not have any gatekeeper keeping anybody out. So who sets up the structures? I would say that we do need a lot of advocacy. We need people who will take up the cause of many of those in the industry to guide them. So that the business of putting up the structures is a combined effort of those, the practitioners in the industry, and the experts. The legal experts on the one hand, the financial experts on the other hand, who are willing to go in there and get their hands dirty. The initial work is tough, certainly, but then somebody has to pioneer all of that effort. And I think that anybody who is able to work towards putting in that structure now will reap the benefits a few years down the line.
There seems to me that there is a disconnect between the explosion in the creative industry and corporate Nigeria, or the formal sector, which is to say banking, law, and all of that. How, from your experience with working in other places, how do you bridge, or how do you bridge this gap between the entertainment, the explosion in the entertainment industry, and of course this formal sector that needs to come in and structure it so that we can see the defined revenue lines and all of this?
I think the first thing that we need to do, and this is the challenge to all the lawyers out there, saying, if I was looking for an entertainment lawyer today, I wouldn't know where to go and look.
Hello?
And I think the first thing that we need to do is set up a platform using technology that advertises every entertainment lawyer that exists. Then,
who creates that platform?
It can be the Nigerian Bar Association, it can be this forum.
It could be the SBM.
It could be the SBM. The other thing that then happens is that the players in the industry then need to tell anybody coming in that you need to get yourself a lawyer. And the signing, all the legalese starts right from the beginning. Once you've got a product, then you've got to protect your rights over that product, right from when you think of even creating it.
Okay, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, I would like to say that, well, just to cast our minds back, there used to be what was run at some point, waiting lawyers they do. So you see that some people began this process.
You have to add, waiting lawyers they do serve.
Waiting lawyers they do serve, okay? And then you see that was a platform which was being used to educate people about those in the media industry, about what the lawyers could do for them. So that's in response to your question of who starts the process. Well, first of all, the people need to learn about the benefits of what they can get by working with lawyers, what lawyers can do for them, and how much their lot will improve. So it's...
What about lawyers themselves? Don't lawyers themselves need to immerse themselves into the entertainment industry to understand what it is that their clients do?
That they do also need to learn what goes on there, what it's all about. What it's all about. It is important.
All right, thank you very much. We will take a break. We'll go on a commercial break, and then when we come back, I'll have a new guest. And don't forget, at some point, we'll be coming to the audience to take all your questions as they may apply to all the things that we'll be talking about. We'll go for a commercial break, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, my next guest is an international guest. His name, I would say when we get to the end, but he's a partner at Sheridan's law firm in England and advises on a range of matters across the media and entertainment industries, representing a broad range of clients, including advertising and talent agencies, established artists, fashion brands, leading production houses, new and upcoming talent, producers, songwriters, and sports personalities, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my next guest, Stephen Kepner. Thank you very much. We understand that your firm, Sheridan's, is one of the biggest and most influential, in the entertainment industry in England. Can you give a brief description of your business, how it's structured, and the factors responsible for this success in entertainment law?
Okay. Sheridan started as predominantly a music firm about 50 years ago. We still represent a lot of the people we were representing back then, which included Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and people like that. Where we now do film and television, fashion, computer games, trademarks, you name it, film, television, yeah, I said that. We do it. And we've got about 100 people in our firm.
Lawyers?
About 80 lawyers, I think, yeah. So it's a big firm. And we work very proactively on behalf of our clients. We don't really see ourselves just as red letter lawyers. My background, for example, I came from an entertainment background and I worked in the music industry and I worked in theatre before I became a lawyer. So I developed a music practice, first and foremost, by immersing myself in the music industry, by going to lots and lots of shows, meeting all of the relevant people in the record industry, and developed my practice like that. I have since branched out into sport, where I represent personalities like Pele, and also into film and television, and into fashion, acting for brands as well. So, real cross-section.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
One of the things that we are hoping to see happen in Nigeria is to have like an equivalent of the Sheridans in Nigeria here, have a law firm that has 80 or so lawyers representing, people in the creative industry from across board. Now, how do we set up, or how do we get into that kind of frame here? What would you advise lawyers to do to put that together?
Well, I think people want more value from their lawyers now, in whatever sector you're in, but particularly in the entertainment industry. And in London, for example, and in particular in music, lawyers are the go-to people for people who starting out in the music industry. If musicians try and approach record companies will often say, "Who's your lawyer?" Lawyers have become indispensable as deal makers, and creating commercial opportunities. So whether that be for new talent, or whether it be for an established computer game, or using film, exploiting film and television productions. We do more than just be lawyers, and I think that's what. So when people go, well, why do I need a lawyer? When I'm just an artist, or I'm that. We need to be able to sell ourselves as people who can create value for them and create opportunities for them.
If we want to deepen the involvement of lawyers in entertainment in Nigeria, is there like a single most important piece of legislation in England, for instance, that enables lawyers to work within the entertainment industry? What's that enabling law that we probably need to do here if we I don't know how familiar you are with.
Well, I'm not very up on Nigerian what laws you have in force. I mean, we obviously have a Copyright Act, but other than that, a lot of entertainment law is developed as practice and sort of established procedure over the years, much like the common law has, And so it's a way of doing business and a set of established rules that there are between lawyers and creative bodies, that is established over time.
You have said, they talked about the quality of representations that you have. There is indeed an explosion in terms of talent and the growth in Nigeria. This year, for the first time, we had a movie in the box office that made up to 450 million naira.
Wow.
Now, it might not be a lot in terms of dollars and pounds, but in Nigeria, that was a major breakthrough. And it has actually changed the narrative in Nigeria. So there is the need for representation of these people by lawyers and all of that. We will take a short break, and when we come back, I will go to the audience to ask a few questions, or if they have a few questions for you, and we'll continue with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I call you when I need you, my heart's on fire. Speak the language of love like you know what it means. Oh, it could be wrong. Take my hand and make me strong. You're simply the best.
Okay, so we are back. There has been a slight adjustment. We will take all the panelists, take all their views before we go into the audience to ask the questions or have them ask us questions. So I'm going to invite some other panelists now to join Mr. Kempler on stage with me. So first on my list is an astute legal practitioner, my friend and brother, with over 20 years experience in intellectual property law, dispute resolution, broadcasting, media, and entertainment law. He represents a broad spectrum of reputable clients in the media and entertainment space and has been involved in various landmark transactions and disputes in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mena Ajakbovi. My next guest is synonymous with energy and passion, with a keen interest in entertainment and legal industries. Foza has been able to create a niche for herself in both industries. She obtained her LLB and a diploma in security studies from the prestigious Babcock University in Ogun State. She was called to the Nigerian bar in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Oyi Consola Fawen. Okay, my next guest is a professor of law, a leading academic and practitioner in the field of intellectual property. Is a professor of law at the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. Prior to taking the IP chair at the institute, he served as the Director General of the Nigerian Copyright Commission and was the pioneer lecturer and researcher in IP at the Faculty of Law, Lagos State University. He is a past fellow of Max Planck Institute for IP, Munich, and Center for IP and IT, University of Edinburgh. He has published several books in the field. He has served in various roles at the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Professor Adebambo Adewopo. My next guest is from Opobo Town in Rivers State and was raised in Lagos. After graduating from Middlesex University in London with a bachelor's degree in law in 2007, she obtained a master's of law degree in entertainment law from the University of Westminster in 2009. She continued to work in the United Kingdom for a few years before returning to Nigeria. She was called to the Nigerian bar in 2012. She has qualitative and formative experience in diverse aspects of legal practice, both in Nigeria and England, having worked as a paralegal with the Waltham Forest Council in London, UK, as a legal officer at Seplat, Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Diwari Desai. Okay, welcome. Diwari, I hope you've caught your breath. I'll ask you, what is the most significant challenge faced by young lawyers who are seeking to make a living from entertainment law practice? What are the prospects and opportunities? I know it's very wide, but I trust you. You wear both caps. So over to you.
Thank you. Okay, it is a very broad, that's a very broad subject you just asked me. But I'll say this. Apart from being a lawyer, I'm also a recording artist. And when I got my master's in entertainment law, I was looking for a way to merge the two, marry the two fields, my passion for music and then my profession as a lawyer. And moving back to Nigeria, I found that, as we were discussing before, there isn't necessarily a framework that we can work with. So we tend to just find ourselves trying to create work for ourselves. The challenge I find as a lawyer is, because my personality most of the time is introverted, you need to learn how to go out of your comfort zone and go to where the entertainers are so that they know what you have to offer them. You need to go to where they work, go to the clubs that they visit, the events that they attend, and show them what you're made of. Just like Stephen was saying, we act as agents and we need to go out and get the job, because the work is there, but the jobs are not going to come to you when you wait in your office, because entertainers are not going to come to your office, but they need to understand why they need you as a lawyer. And I'll say this because while I was a recording artist, I was offered a recording contract at the time. That was a few years ago. And I did not put my lawyer hat on at all. I was blinded by my passion to become a musician and do the things that I needed to do, that I overlooked many, many clauses that were to my detriment. And I signed it, and I was trapped in a contract that wasn't favorable to me. So these are the sort of issues that you need to address when you meet these entertainment players. I'm talking for maybe musicians and upcoming actors and things like that. You might want, or I might want as a young lawyer, to end up like maybe Mr. Mena Jakovi and have a big firm and everything. But it doesn't start like that. You have to you have to put in the work and pay your dues, so to speak. It's a job of passion. If you're looking to make ₦1 billion right away, it's not going to happen per se. It might happen for you, Sha, but on the normal scheme of things, it's not going to happen. So you have to just put in the work, and there are lots of prospects. Entertainment is growing. I won't say it's where it's supposed to be yet, but it's growing, and I think now is the best time to key into the developing industry so that at the end, or so you can be part of a pioneer establishment. So, yeah.
Are you representing anybody now in the music industry as a lawyer?
I'm not representing any major acts. I have loads of indie acts, loads of upcoming acts. I find that most of the major acts are like where I was negotiating with the manager of a major act, or an act that people know. I won't say I won't say her name because I don't represent her. And the manager was very funny about fees and that sort of thing. So I find out maybe if I had approached the artist herself, I'd be able to convince for me to represent her. But that didn't work out because I was just talking to the manager, you know. But at the moment, I'm working with loads of upcoming artists. That's basically what I do at the moment.
Because we're talking about problems that young lawyers face, you know, trying to get into this business. If you are not passionate, or if you are not a performer yourself, would you go back to try and convince this person for you to represent them?
If I'm not...
If you were not a musician yourself, or a performer yourself,
yeah.
With the kind of roadblock that you've had, would you go back to try, if you were just a regular lawyer, would you go back to try to see how...
I might not understand 100% what the ramifications are, because being on that side of the whole spectrum, I find that there are many things that I could relate with fellow artists. I know that artists are not normal people. They are very passionate. They're very, very passionate. They're not like, there are people, you have to get them to trust you. You have to get them to, and you also have to believe in them. And they also have to know that you believe in them. So there are all those little aspect that if I hadn't been an artist per se, I might not understand that I need to do. So that's why I'm here to explain that you guys, when you meet your clients, when you meet your potential clients, that you need them to know that you believe in them and you need to present yourself in a way that they can trust you.
Okay, when we go into the question and answer session, I'm sure there will be one or two things that I need to ask you. But Mena, let me ask you this. Because of the, of the explosion within the creative industries, people are encouraging, organizations like WIPO and different bodies are encouraging ADR, for instance, in resolving disputes. But somehow our lawyers prefer, the traditional methods of settlement, going to court. What would you say is the reason for this, or what would you advise?
Okay, that's a very practical question, and I'll also give a practical response. Now, in the creative industry, you may be surprised that most of the contracts that are entered, most of the dealings are done informally. So you engage an actor, you engage a music person, you engage a comedian, or you hire equipment informally. You're producing a movie, you know somebody that has the equipment, you call the person on the phone, and you just say, okay, come and do this for me, and you agree on the figure, and you pay. That's all. It's not documented. And because of the margin involved, the amount involved is also really below radar. It's not big sums. Now, when there's dispute in those kind of situation, it is resolved informally. It is resolved without going to court or mediation. So there's a lot to say for ADR. But that notwithstanding, if you want to invoke ADR as a means of resolution of those disputes of such amount, you start inviting an arbitrator. The cost element is very important. You call an arbitrator, you invoke mediation, the whole process. Now, that is not what you want to call a makeup artist to come and get involved in. That's not what you want to call the normal down-the-road artist to come and get involved in. So because of that, there's a disincentive. The expense that is involved in arbitration is just so high. So people do not like to go there. Now, secondly, there are certain situations that you find yourself. That is not the time to go to arbitration. You quickly want to get an order of injunction. I'm producing a movie and I know somebody has stolen my copyright or my rights in that thing. If I go to an arbitrator or mediation, you are not going to get an injunction from it. So you go to a regular court and you know you get injunction. So people tend to lean towards the formal method of dispute resolution. And this is, we're talking about centuries of mindset. The mindset is that once there is trouble, the average person goes to court. Now, I did a record agreement some years ago, a recording group. They came to my office and I did the agreement for them. The funder provided the money and I put there an arbitration clause, of course. Now, they ran into trouble. And this guy, the first thing he said to me was that he was going to Zone 2. So he was going to Zone 2 to call police and to get the guy detained and to force him before. And I said to him, but we have an arbitration clause in this agreement. Let's go that route. And he said, for where? No. I want to go to Zone 2. By the time they pick him up, by the time he spends 3 days, he will bring the money. So to the ordinary average person, arbitration is not the first option. Another point is that this arbitration that we're talking about, how many people know about arbitration? For dispute resolution, how many people really know about arbitration? Go to Kano. It's a very big, thriving movie industry there. How many of them know about arbitration? They know that once there's a dispute, the next place to go to is the court. Go to Maiduguri, the lawyer practicing in Maiduguri, the lawyer practicing in Dutse. What do they know about arbitration? So once there's a dispute, we have a mindset that have been there for years. And as far as dispute resolution is concerned, the next place to call is litigation. So that's some of the reason why people prefer litigation as a means of settling their dispute. Now, all arbitrators here must take this point, that one of the reasons, because I did a study on this in 2014, and one of the results of this study was that the cost and the sophistication of arbitration and mediation, it is way beyond what the ordinary creative mind would want to resort to. So they resolve their problem their own way, or they go to court. So for now, as of today, as far as the report and the result and the research is concerned, arbitration is still more, litigation is still more appealing than the ADR system.
Is it more effective?
Well, now let me give you an example.
Okay, sorry, before you do that, when you say they resolve the things their way, because I've been a part of some of these resolutions
Yes.
of rights that are crossing. So if, for instance, two right owners call a lawyer to mediate in a dispute, and they both agree to that mediation,
Yes.
can they take their resolution to the court of
we all know that.
arbitration in Lagos
Yes.
State, for instance, and adopt that without having to have a formal mediation session?
That is a snag about ADR. Now, even after you've reached a decision in ADR system, it does not prevent the parties from still going to court, whether right or wrong. They will still go to court. So because of that, it's a disincentive.
But I thought
They can also agree to end it there, but you cannot fetter the right of anyone to go to court, even though they've agreed to go to arbitration.
even after they resolve at arbitration.
Yes, you may lose, but you will still go to court.
Okay, all right, Prof. We'll come back to you because this is something that we would like to pursue a bit more. Prof, you have heard, or I'm sure you're aware of how much development we have had in terms of innovation in property rights. You know, what are the challenges and opportunities posed to entertainment law, with the innovation and the use of material and content and property rights as it is in the midst of all this innovation and explosion?
By far, the most singular and the most remarkable challenge as well as opportunity for entertainment industry is digital technology. I mean, it's very clear.
Sorry, you said digital what?
Digital technology. Digital technology has a most remarkable transformative impact on the production and the exploitation of creative works in at least, let me say, 4 respects. First, the identification of the subject matter. Digital technology has completely changed the existing paradigm or classification of what you call today as entertainment product, either musical work, sound recording, literary work, artistic work, cinematograph, film, broadcast, or even live performance. And that's a whole lot of issue in itself. Secondly, digital technology has changed the balance and the framework of rights in the traditional copyright system. Of course, the core of the copyright system is in the exclusive rights system, which we have to understand. We have those rights, for instance, in Section 6 of the Copyright Act. Digital technology has radically transformed those rights in their tenor and in their operation. So the creative artist now will have to examine which right is infringed, which right exists through the proliferation of digital platforms that we have today. Thirdly, digital technology has changed the administration of those rights, the existing administration platform, through what is now known as digital rights management, or what they call the technological protection measures that we have in the new reformed copyright legislation across the world. Fourthly, digital technology has changed the enforcement of those rights. The way and manner those rights are enforced has been changed completely. Now we have, in those days we talk about piracy, but now you talk about digital piracy and the legal response to the phenomenon of digital piracy. So there is no doubt about that digital technology has the most transformative impact on entertainment products.
How do lawyers respond? How does the legal
The foundation is always the knowledge. You have to know the nuances of entertainment law. Entertainment law as the body of laws, as the body of customs, as the body of institutions and players. You have to understand the foundation of entertainment practice or entertainment industry before you can even address the legal solutions to those problems that we have. That's one. Two, we have the law reform. Law reform, policy reform is also an answer. Now, the Nigerian copyright system is not technologically compliant. So we have a big challenge in that area. Three, you have structures. And I think in the previous sessions you've mentioned about structure. We have structures, industry structures, regulatory structures, legal structures. They're also important for the development and the evolution of a viable entertainment industry. Let me just stop there.
I do know that there are law reforms, or there are proposals for reforms and all that. As they are, even though they are drafts, are they compliant with innovations?
Absolutely good question. The most significant development in the current law reform in the copyright sphere in Nigeria is the fact that we have a new copyright proposal for the first time in the history of copyright legislation in Nigeria that have responded to the digital technology. And that itself is remarkable. That's something that the creative industry should embrace. Now, looking into the structure of the rights, into the nitty-gritty of that law is a different thing. But holistically, it's a proposal, it's a law reform initiative that is supposed to transit the industry to the next generation of entertainers and producers and
I'm sure during the question and answer time we'll come back to this, because there are those who will argue that it hasn't always been a question of the body of the law or the laws as it is, but lawyers not testing the very limits of these laws, but we'll come back to that. Ms. Fayomi, I know that you are the general manager and legal counsel for in-house counsel, as it were, for a 360 entertainment company. Does any company need a resident legal entertainment lawyer, as it were, and your function or your role, will it in any way help to make artists appreciate the need for lawyers?
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm in-house counsel to a couple of entertainment companies, from film to...
Oh, so please, a round of applause.
A round of applause, come on. Thank you. All right, to film, music, tech companies, specialized in the content production companies also. As an in-house counsel, I am not just... In fact, I've stopped calling myself a lawyer. I call myself the business. So the thing is, I come into your business, you have to see the difference. Because from being...
If you want to clap.
Yeah.
If she comes into your business, you must see the difference.
It's as simple as that. So for us in my law firm, we are not just lawyers, we're managers, we're digital marketers, we're content producers, we're content exploitation manager. Everything we call ourselves a one-stop shop. So because we have knowledge, and the beauty of it is that every lawyer that works in my law firm has field experience, from being a music manager to being a film producer or an assistant on the field. So when we're having discussions, we understand it's a relationship with our clients. Like Mr. Sheridan, Stephen was saying, I can pick an upcoming act right now, plug him into a record label, and in the next 3 years can be the biggest act. That's how much my network is right now. And that's because, we understood quickly that as lawyers, anybody can go on the internet and download the recording contract. Last year, I reviewed the same documents from different lawyers from the internet for 6 different people. The same document. So I'm like, everybody's going online and downloading contracts and sending it, and everybody's negotiating. But the difference, when we finish negotiating, they see that there's a difference because we understand the right system. Like my prof was telling me, there's the right system that we understand, and we've been able to manage it. And so an in-house counsel is everything to you. Structures your business. One of the companies that we work for, we started working with them this year, a record label company, and within 3 months, they've expanded into an entertainment group, into distribution, into publishing, and next year going into film. And for my film, one of the film companies I'm working on right now, we're trying to raise, which is last year we started with a film company and we're trying to do a cross-border relationship. And I went for Afrif and I made a lot of friends with the South African, KZN, Nazatulu people, and we're discussing and we're trying to do a cross-border film. And I started engaging with other lawyers and I saw the difference in the approach of things. It wasn't just law. So I knew that if I'm talking to my client, for my client not to go elsewhere, they need to see that I know. So I have partners in the UK because my clients are beginning to, it's now on a global scale. Imagine I'm representing Wizkid and I don't have a liaison lawyer in the UK to take care of his interest, or a liaison lawyer in the US to take care of his interest. That's what you do as an in-house counsel. You're the R&D for the artist or the R&D for the creator. So you create wealth. When you, for whatever creator you work with, you create wealth for them. And for the younger lawyers out there, which I'm going to talk to because...
she was called in 2014. For the younger lawyers out there.
So, oh, well, technically. I tell people that the bigger law firms can't take up the work that we're doing because for them it's not about business. But for the younger ones that we understand and we're trying to create a niche for ourselves, it's important that we invest. So a lot of the things you are doing is you are investing in the career of this artist. So the contract that you normally charge, no music artist can meet me right now and say, give me a contract for free. I've passed that stage. I can do that for a film person, but But what I'm saying is the services you provide are the investments in that artist. So you can watch and nurture an artist from being an upcoming artist to being a top 10 artist. And when you go to the club, you're dancing to your artist. I mean, top 10 of the list, I'm dancing to my client's song because I've invested in them. So as an in-house counsel, long and short, you are the R&D of the artist or the creator. You teach them how to make money, you teach them how to manage money, you teach them how to secure their content, and you flourish.
Thank you very much. And yet they tell you that lawyers can't advertise. Okay, Stephen. I wanted you to stay back here to listen to some of the things that they've been saying. Do you think we're on the right track to getting ourselves immersed in deepening our entertainment law a little bit in Nigeria? Especially from the last speaker.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to hire this woman right now. Yeah, no, I do. I think, I think the most important thing is passion. And, and I hear that all across the panel. Everyone's very passionate about what they're doing. And, and it's also about, to touch on something you said, it's about being able to reach out for help when, when you've got to your boundaries. That happens to me. If I've got an artist who goes and lives in Los Angeles, I'm not stupid. Somebody said earlier, you never assume that your client is going to wait for you to follow them. If they're going to go to Los Angeles, if I don't do something about it, they're going to be with a Los Angeles lawyer in 5 minutes. So, I'm going to reach out to a Los Angeles lawyer myself and make sure I am in partnership with someone over there when they go over there. So, it's about using connections and adding value to the artists wherever they go in the world.
Thank you very much. We will go on a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will get new people here and take your questions when we finish with that session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Getting warmer, and I think the topics are getting a lot better. My next panelist is a managing partner at RDF, a consultancy that provides counsel to clients in the public and private sectors on strategic communication, organizational strategy, and stakeholder management. One of the pillars of our service delivery is the belief that next to the product, effective communication is the most important aspect of organizational success. Nkiru was the CEO of Spinlet, the leading digital distribution platform on the continent. In addition to a structural turnaround, Nkiru drove the rebranding of the company and ensured that it was profiled properly through tactical placement of strategic communication. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nkiru Balon, Managing Partner, RDF. I'll welcome her when she comes back. Okay, thank you guys. There are no words to describe my next panelist, but I think it is safe to say that he bestrides the entertainment industry like a real colossus. He's the founder of Dragon Africa. He's the founder of Cabal Entertainment, which is a new 360 entertainment company. He's the co-founder and chairman of Social Media Week Lagos, the largest new media and technology conference in Africa. And is a co-founder and director of 5 Music, which provides support to independent artists in Nigeria. He's ex-this, ex-that, this and that and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Obi Asika. crush until I first saw my next guest. He was a student in University of Benin. I was a senior when she came in. You know how they do the Jambite rushing and all of that at the time. I didn't rush her, I just had a crush. It was later on that I understood what I was having for her was a crush. And since I was too shy and too withdrawn to tell her, I didn't say anything until years later. But ladies and gentlemen, she is the managing director of the Audrey Silver Company, Task, and creative head of Mod Pictures Production, a subsidiary of Task, described by many as a consummate professional and a Nollywood industry game changer. Mildred produced and directed the acclaimed 2006 film 30 Days and the 2012 mega hit The Meeting. She is practiced in America as a lawyer and came back here as a filmmaker, which is a true calling. Ladies and gentlemen, Mildred Okwon. Well, I introduced Nkiri earlier and see she's here. They're very delectable, Nkiri Balon. Because she was one of my supervisors for my project at the University of Lagos. Yes. My next guest is a fantastic human being. She's provided a lot of entertainment for us here in Lagos and Nigeria. She's a good example of how, you know, the new lawyers in entertainment should be. She holds a master's degree in international law from London School of Economics and Political Science, and a law degree from the University of Lagos. She is the founder of Terra Culture, an educated and recreational organization. Ladies and gentlemen, Bologna Austin Peters! Don't judge me. It's one of the little perks of hosting a show like this. You get to hug the women and kiss them. Don't judge me, please. My next guest and my last guest, ladies and gentlemen, many years ago, I got a call from a young comedian at the time and said to me, Bruce, I have somebody that is your kind of person. I would like to introduce a young man to you who just graduated, who is a friend of mine, very intellectual, very cerebral. He's the kind of person that you can work with and also mentor. So I said, send the person over to me, and a few days later, the young man came to my office, and it was love at first sight. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest needs no introduction. Boy! I'm going to read my next question because being one of my teachers, it's important that I'm very careful. And I've been warned about her. And we'll try and rein her in a bit if she displays anything untoward. Okay. Having been at the helm of affairs at Spinlet, what is your view on how the Nigerian entertainment law practitioners should react in terms of skills development and acquisition to the potentially emphasis on the potentially disruptive power of digital media to bypass traditional distribution platforms by going directly to the consumer. Nkiru.
Okay, hello. So I have to say, I'm usually not proud to say I'm a lawyer, but I am really proud today because SPL, you guys have done an amazing job. This place looks amazing. And I particularly want to say about Foza, who was on the panel before us, that I'm so impressed to know you and to have met you. I think you were amazing. I mean, totally impressed by women who were strong and powerful. And of course, Balanle and Mildred on the panel. Sorry, the guys, you guys are cool, but so I'm really happy to be here today. It was a long question, so I wasn't really paying detailed attention. But I mean, so in terms of disruption, I think we talked about it before. I'm not a techie. So I'm a lawyer who ran a tech company. So I usually don't fall with the tech language. I feel that lawyers are constantly and will always be relevant as long as there's an agreement to be had. So as long as A and B need to agree on something, lawyers will always be relevant, and it's about how relevant we want to contain ourselves and maintain ourselves. I think Foza said it all. You sort of need to be informed at the forefront of knowledge, as acquiring stuff. I don't really have so much to say, but for the fact that I think that young lawyers get a lot of flack for not knowing, about the system, about what's going on. But I do think that the schools, I used to teach at Unilag, for example, and I have to say, I think I was a good lecturer. But when I went to do my my doctorate, I found that I wasn't a great lecturer. And I feel that we as, academicians, we as, the people who are being there have sort of failed the younger people who are coming after us. If you think about the university education system.
I've warned you, if you want to clap, clap. Go ahead.
So, the universities, for example, are not providing the sort of rigorous curriculum that we need to be providing to the younger ones, and yet we blame ourselves, we blame the younger ones for not being on point. I think the Nigerian Bar Association owes a duty to the lawyers as well to provide continuous legal education, which I don't think we are providing. So in terms of development of skills, I do think that we as lawyers owe a responsibility to ourselves to constantly be informed. But again, the system owes a responsibility as well to the students to inform them better. As I said, I wasn't the best lecturer, but I only found that out because I then went to school and I'm like, oh, wow, this is how to teach. You learn from people who are practicing law, who have actually immersed themselves in the system. But here, for example, where I was teaching, you can't have, they won't let you teach as a part-timer. You have to be a full-time professor to actually be a teacher. That doesn't work. So how do you actually learn in practice? How do you sort of send information back to the people who are actually needing the practical information? So I think generally, in terms of disruption, I feel that lawyers will always be relevant, but you must make yourself indispensable. You must also always be informed. You must actually know that the biggest thing that you know is that you know nothing. I think generally we as lawyers always think we know everything, but I think the best people that I've met are the people who are sure that they don't actually know anything, which means that you're constantly looking for information, you're constantly finding partners who know it. I generally don't know anything, but I know people who know stuff. I know people, I can find you information from, if you ask me to do a thing on, do a surgery on somebody, I could find out how to do it from a surgeon. But I think we here, we're sort of closed-minded. We sort of don't want people to let into the law clique. So we keep hoarding information, we're not transparent. But as a lawyer, I actually have never represented myself, whether it's a contract. I don't read my own contracts because I always get emotional about it, so I miss the big picture. I always give it to another lawyer. Please help me review this thing. Whereas what we do here is we're like, oh, you come into a conversation, you come in with the attitude of knowing everything, which is an impossibility. So
God forbid that as a lawyer I know.
Yeah. So that's the point. But I'll let somebody else speak.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am sure that the chair and SBL, they have all kinds of plans about how to re-educate and open the minds of young lawyers and everything to this rather potentially disruptive world that we find ourselves. But you have seen, you've done it all, as it were. Now, what do you consider the single most important legislative reform or proposal that could help the entertainment industry to live to its full potential? I could actually reverse this question and say, what legal regime should there be that can make you do 10 times more than what you're doing, or get more lawyers to replicate what you're doing already?
Okay, thank you for inviting me. In terms of what you asked me, running TerraCulture itself is a challenge to put together an organization like that in Nigeria. The laws, let's start from the taxation issues. At TerraCulture, for instance, we pay close to 12 taxes, as an institution.
Hello?
And if you...
12, they pay close to 12 taxes.
Different types of taxes,
Okay.
From consumption, television, all sorts of weird things come every day. Local government gives us about 6, and then state about 6 as well. So that would discourage anybody from coming into this space. Typically what you would expect is that government would like to support initiatives like ours. So for as long as in Nigeria, we don't recognize that the creative mind and the creative energy in Nigeria is what is going to propel this country forward, we're in trouble. We can legislate as many laws as we want to. If you look around the world, anywhere you look at today, we're in the conceptual age. It is those with ideas that will rule the world. From your Zuckerbergs to your Steve Jobs, it's the people that create products. So when you look at RMD, who comes, he acts, he performs. You look at Mildred, she directs, she produces content from her brain. You look at Bovi, he comes, he produces content from his mind, and he creates things that you and I can't see. These are the people that will rule the world. So for as long as our energy, you don't believe me? That is the truth. The fact of the matter is, if oil could save us, we won't be where we are today as a nation. It is the creative mind that drives any economy anywhere in the world. So when you discourage people like us from doing business, when I have to pay taxes like an oil company, I'm struggling with a Chevron or a Texaco to pay the same kind of levy. It's a discouragement for people like us. You don't want to stay in business. So if we're going to legislate more laws, I don't think that it is the lack of laws in Nigeria really that is our problem. It is the implementation or the effectiveness of those laws really that is the issue. So if I were to suggest, there's so many things, but the one thing that comes to mind is that government needs to come out, and that is federal, and if we want state, come out and almost make a proclamation that artists and the creative industry has to be given special treatment, as they have to be in a separate category. You cannot continue to deal with the creative industry like you deal with the oil sector or the banking sector or the financial services sector. It's impossible. Everywhere in the world, these institutions thrive through grants and through philanthropy. Philanthropy in Nigeria is more or less dead. We're not in the space where we support. There's philanthropy to the extent that we give Rankadede, beggars, you give them money. But in terms of institutional philanthropy, it is lacking in Nigeria. You don't have people who build the Smithsonians. You have very few individuals with a lot of money who are willing to invest in the arts. So when you look at a space like ours, when I, in my semi-poor state, can build a theater, imagine the number of Nigerians who are in a position to build theaters and haven't built theaters in Nigeria. And yet, we complain that we don't have jobs for our children. The creative industry has the capacity to employ 90% of the youths that we have in Nigeria today.
Word.
And I just say this to close, because if you look around you, the average Nigerian is creative. We can sing, we can dance, we can perform, we make clothes, even IT, sports, anything, because the creative industry is really wide. So you look across the entire gamut and you ask yourself the question, why isn't government building theaters, galleries, film schools, performing spaces? These are the things we need in Nigeria, not more schools, not more universities that are teaching us sciences that we cannot use anywhere else in the world, but apart from in our bedrooms. So we need to begin to address these kind of issues if we're going to make any form of progress. But let me stop at that and let somebody else speak.
Okay. Obi, I don't have a scripted question for you. I will just let you take off from here, but only stop. Show us, lawyers and everybody, pop our eyes open with the contribution of the creative industry. Show us the money streams. You know, I know you don't work for Pricewaterhouse, but just take us through, 5 minutes of just tripping on the Nigerian entertainment space.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I was here a couple of times before. It was a smaller room. As SBL has grown. So we'll be waiting for ESTA codes for the next year, right? Allowances, Mina. In terms of the creative industry, I think I'll just touch on what Nkiru said first of all. And the first thing is for lawyers not to be afraid of engaging, right? Do not be afraid of this thing called creative industries or entertainment or any other thing that operates in that space. And just to sort of define it a little bit, we're talking about the IP industries, things that are created from the mind, and you're talking across film, television, music, live event production, fashion. I would put Nigerian cuisine into that conversation, and definitely sports, architecture, technology, software, all those spaces. Now, the truth of the matter is this, is that we're all in Nigeria, and we all see, I believe the government of today has been talking about made in Nigeria, and as a big look to where we should be going. My perspective on this is that what is more made in Nigeria than the Nigerian himself, right? So that means that the primary actual value Nigeria has is the people of Nigeria. And their human expression is the creative industries. So therefore, it should make logical sense that the primary place where you should be investing is in that human capacity. Therefore, made in Nigeria, some of us have been doing it already for 25 years, with or without government. And I think what Richard is talking about is that if you're looking at numbers and where the money lies, the money at this point in time what everybody likes to use this word, disruption. Bovi sat up, so I could say some of the money lies with him, but the reality of, and I don't know why I didn't mention comedy as well, because comedy is another big thing driving the creative explosion or the entertainment industry explosion. The truth of the matter is we do not have, Richard talked about the wedding party. We only have 129 screens in Nigeria, people. China built 9,000 screens last year. 9,000, just take that figure in last year. They built 40,000 since 2011. Now, that is more screens that are on the entire continent. We have so much further to grow. I will tell you the truth is we have not even actually started. What has been happening in Nigeria is that individuals who are talented, who were told when they were children that they had to be lawyers and doctors, became adults and embraced their real talent and started expressing it. And there was no system. That is how Nollywood came. That is how the theater has evolved. That's how the music has come. And the lawyers and it's funny because I hear about lawyers being afraid of it, but many of us here have a legal background. So the reality of it is you must stay connected to people. Richard wanted me to tell you some numbers. I mean, a number that a lot of people may not know is that you see all the PwC reports, you see these reports. The things I'm looking at is, okay, in Nigeria, in the last 5 years, nobody has gone on tour. No Nigerian musician has done a tour. We have 36 states. We have 40 stadiums. People are still doing concerts in a co-hotel. That's actually not a concert, it's a recital. No, I mean, you need to understand this, right? Because you are not actually talking about the real ecosystem of value. If you put 500,000 people in TBS tomorrow at 1,000 naira, is that not 500 billion? I don't even know, I can't do the maths. But it's a lot of money, right? And they will actually come out to watch Wizkid or Davido or Fino, And guess what? It's actually quite safe now. It may not be safe for you guys because you guys will want to go to the after party on the island. But the truth of the matter is, just like in the telecoms industry and everything else, the real money is at the bottom of the barrel. It's with the masses. That's where the money is. That's where the ecosystem is. And when you're ready to engage them, they will support you.
We'll come back. Mildred, you're a lawyer. You practice in America. You practice here. You are a filmmaker today. Okay, sorry, you haven't practiced here. But with your background in law and entertainment, how would you describe the complexities in the industry, its relationships with the legal profession, and of course your projections for the future?
Thanks. Thank you very much for having me. And just like Obi, the last time I was here, it was in a small room somewhere. Now there's hundreds of people here. So it's fantastic. We have growth. I moved back to Nigeria 10 years ago, and I thought I was, because then I used to buy a DVD, a Nigerian DVD for $16.99 in Los Angeles. So I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to go make films in Nigeria, so it must be huge. And I come back. In fact, I remember seeing you at dinner at Olive Restaurant, and you were tired at that point. You understand? And there were no lawyers, no structures, no accountants. So I was wondering, how do you have an entertainment industry without lawyers? Because it's the lawyers that do the deals in LA. So I'm making a film. There'll be a lawyer somewhere that's heard I'm making a film and that it's good. They will be the one running after me. Not me running to them to, please, can you guys help me draft a contract? The lawyer will know everything I'm doing. It's the lawyer that will do the deals with the cinemas, will do the deals with the product placement companies, will do the deals, international deals, will do all kinds of deals. I wouldn't have to deal with that. All I need to do is create. And I came back here, it wasn't there. In fact, I noticed that most Nigerians in the formal sector didn't even really believe in the industry. So that was the biggest shock. But I can see now that things are changing. Because when you really look at it, that's our biggest thing, is entertainment and sports. Most Nigerians are talented. They have one talent or the other. I'm sure here, if we talk to a lot of people, some of them wanted to be something else but lawyers, and I was supposed to be I was supposed to be a lawyer, but I went on to start making films. So I think one of the complexities is that a lot of the people in this industry built it without lawyers. So you have 20, 25 years now, we're telling them, you need lawyers to make this thing even bigger. So that's where it's very complex, because they don't understand. They think...
Sorry. So who should tell the lawyers to come in now? Or are we supposed to still keep going to the lawyers as entertainers, or the lawyers, now that they are listening, they will come in now?
You see the lady that was sitting over there?
Yes.
If you had a bunch of entertainers, she would sign about 50 of them immediately today, the way she was talking. Because I've been on both sides, I understand. They want to see that you want somebody, they want creative people like Don Jazzy, they're sleeping at this time. It's at night they will call you. Do you understand? Can you imagine me calling some lawyers that has been in court all day, and you're going to call him at 1 o'clock to talk about your deal? So that's what I'm just trying to tell people who want to come to the industry. And I think, like you asked, the future is huge. So for example, I'm creating a TV series that I want to go around the world. The lawyer that comes with me is going to make bank, because they're going to get a percentage of whatever it is I'm making. It's not the structures. The structures shouldn't be the way you structure the business. You know, when you're dealing with your business, Coca-Cola, all those people. It's not about billables and all that. To me, I think it's about percentages. When you're in LA, you're making a film or you're making music. You already know how many percent, what percent goes to the lawyer. It's standard, everybody knows it. You already know what percentage goes to the your manager. You know what percentage might go to the accounting firm that works. So you already take that off from your salary. So they tell you it's $1 billion, you know, a lot of people are going to get a crack at it. But they've worked for it. So what I'm happy about is that things are beginning to change. I'm sure you've heard of some people we don't have any laws. And not that we don't have the legislation or laws, we don't have them tested. So you may have heard recently that somebody sued somebody for for using their script. They're going to be creating new laws there because nobody has done that before. And that's amazing that this industry, to me, has been around for 20-something years. So it's so imperative that lawyers come into this space because I still say, without lawyers, accountants, and the PwCs of the world, we will not get to the next level. And yet, this is something that we do so well. This is what Africans have talent. So why can't we make it what we know how, you know, like you just said, this is what we know how to do. Why can't we create a structure that is so good that others will start coming from around the world to want to copy it?
Thank you very much. Well, Bobby, you have done shows successfully here. You are constantly on fire in Nigeria and abroad. What has been your relationship with lawyers, or if you have any, and do you need a lawyer? Do lawyers run to you, or do you chase after lawyers? What has been your experience?
My relationship with lawyers has been, for the most part of it, very suspicious. You know, like she pointed out, until Ms. Fahimi spoke, I kept saying it that lawyers come to me. I have a lawyer. And my lawyer happens to be my brother because I know that, okay, he can't cheat me. That's how I feel. I feel safe. What I have not been offered is that security. So lawyers come to me, they talk to me, but I don't see what's in it for me. As a creative mind, I don't know if that's how it obtains for every other creative mind, but for me, simplicity is key. I just want to understand the contract as simple as possible. If it's complicated, I want somebody to just tell me what's complicated there. Many of the lawyers who have approached me, what they offer is what my business manager is already doing for me. So that's how I got to realize that if I have to work with any new lawyer, they need to make me see how I can make more money. And they need to pursue it. You know, they need to pursue it. And like, I just want to create and I just want to put it out there. Some time back, a company approached me, one of these go-between companies. They wanted a ringback tune for a telecoms company. And they said I should create all my jokes and all that. So I told them, look, I know how this thing works. First of my jokes and narratives, it's going to be too long. Give me time, I'll create something that will hit at the spot. And they said, okay, no problem. It took about 10 months. When it came out, I have a dream that one day. Exactly, you know, the pidgin version. And when it came out, when I gave it to them, they couldn't even recognize it. They couldn't see it. And they had lawyers as well. They couldn't see the potential in it. They said, no, the client's not going to like it. I said, then, so be it. Then weeks later, they call me and say, the client likes it. They're surprised. I said, okay. So we got to business. We signed the deal. It was a big hit. I made millions out of that. But I was happy, but sadness overshadowed my happiness simply because the sharing formula was not good for me. I don't see why, as a creative force, I was getting 20% of a successful business. Just 20%. And the 20% is what they told me. I didn't get to see the back end of it. That's what the middleman told me. So the telecoms company gets 60%, I get 20, they get 20, according to them. When you asked her question, what's the single most important legislature?
Yes.
For me, the way you answered it,
or law reform.
You answered it in a very elaborate way. For me, I like to break it down like ABC. They should put into law that the creative mind gets 50% net profit at least after selling a particular number, probably 1 million units or 2 million units. Then we will work so hard. And look, it's a game of numbers. So for us, we just want money without going to court.
Bovi, let me just... You're making sense. But unfortunately for the lawyers who are getting excited, the review of the revenue share between telcos and talent is not actually an individual thing. The lawyer did not mess up there. That is what happens with leverage, okay? The telcos are billion-dollar corporations. The talent are generally individuals. Even with the best lawyer in the world, the industry standard is actually 60-40 to 70-30 to 80-20, depending on how they look at the premium of the talent. Now, the share you took, your management probably should not have taken as 20%, as much as 20% for doing that deal. They should have taken a residual like 10%, and you should have gotten at least 30. But the truth of the matter is that where lawyers and the NBA and the SBL could actually come and support the industry is helping to sit on a class action to change these revenue shares. Because, listen, I mean, if you just look at MTN Loaded in 2015, I think we're talking about $120 million on ringtones. And I can tell you, I mean, we have some of that content. We didn't see no dollars, right? So at the end of the day, it's just like theoretical money in the air that is going away to the telco. And by the time because what they do is the platform that's being built, sunken assets, which is in essence now distribution, because don't forget, voice is dying, right? So all the telcos are killing themselves for content. These are the content creators. So the future of everything a telco is doing is actually distribution. That's actually what is happening right now. So we are all trying to, at least COSON and others are trying to adjust this thing to maybe a 60-40, right? I don't think we'll get to 50-50. I just have to be honest.
Okay, advocacy. Now here's the thing. Some of the speakers here attested to the fact that before today, we used to have this session in very small rooms. You were here, Mildred was here, and today we are like in a real plenary, session. So there is significant growth, both on the legal side and of course on the other side. I'm going to come into the audience, hopefully take a few more questions before. I know that we've spent some time. This is that time when I come in here and just ask a few questions before we round up. I know that we are hearing the sound of the after party. It's not very good for transaction here, but are there questions? Even if the questions are for people that were once in the on the panel, you can go ahead and ask your questions and we'll take it. Let's take one from this side first. Yes, anybody? Give the mic to the young man there. Yes.
My name is Rilwan Are, Fortress Solicitors, Lagos. My question is this. I know at the advent of the film industry, we had issues of marketers determining content. A marketer, you bring a movie before him and he says something like, if this person's face is not there, if this person's face is not there, I'm not marketing this. What has the entertainment industry done about that? Because these people also seem to hijack the market, even from the lawyers. They seem to determine content, even to an extent of recent.
No, I think you have your wires crossed. They don't determine content. They just look for marquee names that can guarantee their investment. That does not disturb what lawyers do in terms of their role. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The industry is very rich, but we need to deal with the issue of piracy. And then I have worked for a musician who is a struggling musician, and so he could not pay my fees. I have worked for a producer who told me that he's just entering into this particular agreement with a potential musician, and so he has not made any money, so he cannot pay me. So I don't know. I wanted to find out from my sister. Because she spoke so well, eloquently well. All of a sudden, because of the way she spoke. So I want to be an entertainment lawyer because there's so much money. She has given me an idea to make. So is it true that there's so much money in this particular entertainment industry? I want to know from her.
Hello. So quickly, what I've done is I create business cases for different people. So if you're a struggling producer or you're a struggling artist, I make sure I am in charge of your rights management. So I determine where it goes to, I monitor where it goes to, and I make my percentage and my money off it. It might take 6 months or a year, but I'll make more money than the initial upfront money I'll make. So I see it as an investment into your career, and we have a contract to that effect. Should in case you want to mess up, I'll catch you in front.
I think that it is important that we'll address this. You are probably also looking for ready-made artists. No. It is something that you have to grow sometimes. It is not every time you will find an established star. You must grow it. Don't be in a hurry to run away from it after the first year doesn't yield fruit.
Okay, good evening.
Evening.
My name is Obianuju Otudo. Yes. Okay, the question goes to Bovi and Obiasika. My question to you, Bovi, because you are in the industry, is that how do we get these entertainers to make sure that what Stephen was talking about, making lawyers the first point of call? Because what I see, because I've done a number of entertainment law matters, I see that they don't run to lawyers until when they have problems. And when they now come, the matter has already gone so bad sometimes, then we are in the work of repairing like doctors. So how do we start changing the mindset of entertainers? Because it's a good thing that we have Zakiazi, you here, but most of them don't come for this kind of events. And the truth is that I understand what Faremi was saying, that you have to chase them, sometimes go to their events and everything. But sometimes those places are not the right place to talk about those kind of things. So how do we change their mindset?
Okay, imagine you telling me or telling Bovi that, oh, by the way, Bovi, I was at your event, lovely event and all that, as a discussion starter. It might make a whole lot of difference. There is advocacy on our parts already, on the parts of entertainers, to make sure that they consult lawyers from day one. So we don't waste time answering a question that is obvious, that the answer is obvious. Yes, ma'am. It's the truth. You look, okay, hello, it's my show. Listen. I run it. Listen, run it. It doesn't matter whether you are paying, I run it. You paid me to do it. Now listen, it is not about you running to artists or letting the artists run to you. It is about first and foremost understanding the industry. From your reaction and his reaction, it is still what we are talking about. Most of you want to go from the traditional point. It has passed. That time has passed. You have to be a part of the industry. You must be a part of the growing. You must be a part of the sowing. I mean, what does this young lady has been telling you the same thing, and you are not listening? Yes.
And I totally understand that. But the thing is that even when you speak the language, many artists, I have a lot of growing clients that we start off with, they don't pay us. Because I have this passion for intellectual property and entertainment, just on the ground level. Just come, let's protect you. We don't want you to fall into the hands of the big people. But the thing is that these things, even right now, I don't want to mention names, they are falling into that trap of signing contracts. Just like what one of the speakers said. She, because of her passion, she just
download it.
Sign. Yes, she just went to go and sign. So we have to start turning the mindset of entertainers to know that lawyers are also important. While we also join in and also train the...
There is an entertainer here. Quickly react to that.
Well,
Nami go marry am. I'm supposed to marry. Okay, I just think that there's a bridge, there's a gap between the lawyers and the entertainers. Like what the madam is talking about. You know, entertainers is like you have a doctor. You know, a doctor to treat you well has to be very friendly with you, have to understand you. Like they were saying on stage, you know, you don't right now, for entertainers, you don't go by the book. You can't deal with entertainers going by what you read in law school. Yeah, you can use what you read in law school, but you have to be a little bit diplomatic. You have to be friendly. Like she got on stage and was already dancing, you know. It makes you feel comfortable to discuss everything. And I just learned a lot from the lady from the United States, you know. I now discovered that lawyers can even act as your managers, even sometimes, because they can negotiate deals for you. You understand? So I think there's a gap. You need to find a way. And please don't be disappointed if 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 artists disappoint you. There must be one artist that is for you. And believe me, there's a lot of money in that business.
Thank you very much. Clean the room. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm off duty today. Well, actually, all I wanted to find out is there a way that the lawyers can come into helping entertainers protect their products? Understand what I mean? Like, a lot of people will say, okay, copyright can do that and everything, but there are some things like, Bovi, you're a fellow comedian. Sometimes you go on stage, instantly an idea pops in. You'll say it. One comedian from somewhere.
Or small boy from Ajegule.
Yeah, exactly. With his phone, this phone thing, with a record, collects the whole thing, goes out and uses it instantly. You understand? So as you're rolling something out, someone is collecting it immediately and the person is taking it somewhere. By the time you know what's happening, it's everywhere. It's like, and at the end of the day, because he's a cheaper artist, they think it's his joke, and you know. So that's the piracy we're talking about. Now, how can the lawyers step into this? You know, try to help us.
Okay, Ms. Firemi.
So quickly, it's very practical. I can give you 10 practical ways, but you have to pay me to do that, because that goes to the root of, especially for comedians, it goes to the root of event production. Now, it's as simple as, celebrities do it, they have weddings and it doesn't leak. So there has to be, there's a formula to it, you know, and when you involve lawyers from the beginning, from pre-production stage, everything is set out. You 100% you might not be able to get it right, but to 90%, I promise you, it's something that we can do. So engage me.
Okay, the young lady there.
Good afternoon. My name is Promise Madbobu. Well, I've heard what the panelists said.
A question.
Yes, my question is simple. We've heard how lawyers can come in, and I also think that as a way to encourage lawyers to step in, they should have a way of ensuring that the content of the production of some of these entertainers are worth investing in. There's sometimes you see some things that are being produced, and lawyers get so logical that they might not see the reason why they should invest in that kind of thing. So I know lawyers are people who, you see people with different challenges. Some lawyers actually didn't know they were going to be lawyers and ended up as lawyers. Some people still think they're going to move into the entertainment industry and do stuff. So these people have passion. So lawyers are willing to invest in this. They're very, very opportunistic people. They like trying in new things, and I know they will do this. But we also find a way to say, let your content be worth investing in.
Fantastic. Due diligence as well on part of lawyers. Okay, Mr. Mena, you wanted to speak to just a quick contribution to what Clean the Drunk said.
Okay, what you just narrated is the theft of idea. Now, people come up with jokes, and before you know, another person steals it. Now, in the United States, you have similar incidents where at one point, one guy was accosted on the stage that this joke does not belong to you, you stole it. Now, within the framework of the comedians, they came up with a set of rules. Now, the copyright deals with it, but unfortunately, it does not deal with it effectively. So you have to creatively, prefer means. Like you say, if you have illness, you also go to the doctor. We did a study, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we were speaking at a comedy event, and we preferred the solution, and we also preferred how to go about it. Now, an idea, no matter how sentimental you want to become, an idea is not protectable. That is the law. And the doctrine of fair use and the doctrine of fair, it's negative to what you're trying to say. But within the confines of the law and practice and custom, we have been able to create a method of protecting your IP rights and your jokes. Now, when you come to the lawyer, you get it sorted. I'm sure she will provide a solution to it. The lawyers, your normal lawyer, interact with them. There's a solution for it on protecting your jokes. It's prevalent, it's not only here. Two professors, Professor Spiegman and Odia, they came up with solution and rules guiding this. That is in the United States of America. There are no decided cases on that point. So you won't find jurisprudence. It's very lean. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mena.
Thank you. Very quickly, it's Chukwu Meji from Hamilton Chapel. My question is, how do you get the industry itself to self-regulate? I want to put this in context. Some time ago, I was engaged to do an entertainment contract, music production. And what do you know? They already had a template, of course, downloaded off the internet. And so they said, just go through this thing and see what we can do. Let us sign and go our ways. I said, hold on. I also had to rework the entire paperwork. And at the end of the day, of course, it was heavily skewed against the artist. And so I asked them, please, why not cut this guy some slack? I know you're engaging me, but these terms are a little bit strict. They said, no, don't go there. He has already agreed. The young man is even happy that somebody is willing to invest in his production. And I said, okay, how do we do this? There wasn't nothing I could do, but I made sure I inserted at least a renegotiation clause so that when he wakes up one morning and feels that he's in trap, he can at least have a way out. So the question is, amongst artists themselves, amongst the industry, how do you self-regulate to protect young upcoming acts from perhaps overheightedness of production companies?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just finally, I will answer that question in my wrapping up, okay? All right. Finally, Alibaba has something to say. Go on, Ali. Go on, Ali.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am just coming in now, and I think the theft of ideas, or for my case, jokes, and intellectual property is a fundamental problem. It is not something that we can deal with right here. And I say right here because it's an underlying problem that has not been solved. It's a problem of poverty, the problem of a lack of education, not poor education, lack of education, and then the punishments that people get for stealing other people's properties are just so lean, and it gets up to a point where people tell you, let them go. Somebody called AY when AY went to report at the police station that his movie had been pirated, and they said, but you don't chop money now. At other times, I'm somewhere and somebody is performing and I hear my jokes. It took a while for me to get over it. So what I believe is that a lot of people do not know that it is theft. A lot of them don't know that it is theft. The other thing is that they know it is theft, but they think it's permissible. The third thing is a lot of these guys that steal are people who just want to make it by all means. They want to blow. It's our industry, so we know how these things go. So what we're actually dealing with is that there's lack of information, and the punishments are not so glaring. So for these days, when you watch a movie, FBI will tell you if you know somebody took this movie or pirated it, report, and you get so and so. If you try it here in Nigeria, police will collect money for you for reporting that. We all know. So what I would say is we need to begin to tackle this from the basics. We need to teach it in schools. We need to teach it to our children. We need to let our colleagues know that it is wrong to copy or steal anybody's right. Well, somebody came to me and said, oh, she just did a remix of a Fela song. I said, did you have rights for it? She said, Fela song, rights. And immediately it hit me that she didn't know any better. And talking about lawyers, I need to respond to somebody who said content.
Quickly.
Yes, I need to respond to somebody said that we need to have better content. Do politicians have better content before banks give them 5 billion to run for an election? No, they don't. It is about ROI. You know that the politician will get into office and you get your money back. It's ROI. So for us we would like to be placed in those kind of categories. But when it comes to dealing with this, and I think we should start from the fundamental problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me start by inviting every other of my panelists back on stage. A round of applause to every of my panelists that was here. Please, Stephen.
This is the time for a presentation of gifts. I'm going to invite someone who's really putting a lot of work into getting this session to where it is today. And permit me first to thank Bolanle Austin Peters for yesterday. You know, we all had fun at the Terra Culture. Please give her a round of applause. And the chairman of the SBL, Mr. Olumide Bata, will come forward. This is entertainment law with Oludi.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for these guys. You know, we're all lawyers here. We know how we value our time. At least I know how much my time is worth. And we took so much of their time. This didn't just happen. The amount of planning that went into this and the amount of time Richard gave us, Bros Richard gave us, and everybody else. I picked up the phone, I called Diwari, she said, yes, of course. Bolanle, our sister, of course, that one I took it for granted. Mildred, Onyikonsola, Nkiru, Bovi, Osere, Stephen came on the red eye flight. Thank you very much. I want to give them gifts as usual, but I want some people to help me. Zaki Hazi. Clean the trunk. Stagger come. Ose. Where is Ose? Ali Baba. And Kiki Omeli of the Lekki Housewives fame. Round of applause. So we're just going to, so if our panelists will kindly rise. So yes. Let's just give one to Professor Adebambo Adewopo. A round of applause for Professor Adewopo. Stephen Kempner, Sheridan's London. A round of applause for Stephen.
We love you. We want to thank you.
Dr. Aiko Biaya, Pan Atlantic University. A round of applause.
We love you. We want to thank you.
Bovi.
Story.
Let's wait one. Dr. Nkiru Balon, JD.
Story, 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 yeah.
Mildred Okwo. The Audrey Silver Company. Foza Doza. If you want her, you pay for it. Obi Asika, Storm, Cabal, Dragon. Diwari Pesticide, the Opobo girl. Bolanle Austin Peters. You all remember Saro last night? Mena Ajakpovi, Abraham and Co. Osere Alakume, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Of course, a big round of applause for Richard Mofe-Damijo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, the Tony Press Band. We are going to have a group picture, but before that, hello. Final thoughts on this matter. Final thoughts on this matter. We have opened the door. What is remaining is for lawyers to engage. Engagement can be in any form. Engage by night, by morning, afternoon, whatever time. But the key word is you must engage any which way. Is there money? To answer your question, there is plenty of money. Many revenue lines, plenty. What do we need to do? We need to crack open more avenues. It is a form, it is an industry that gives spaces to innovation all the time. And what we need to do is to get out of our comfort zone, our traditional ways of doing business, and start to engage in any way you can. Last word also for government. The arts has always been something that government protects, from the palaces of our kings and obas and all of that to present day. So government must, as a matter of urgency, find and seek ways to protect the intellectual, the creatives in whatever thing that they do. So on behalf of SBL and all their future plans concerning entertainment and how lawyers can profit, my name is Richard Mofe-Damijo. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much, my guests. Thank you very much. Now we'll take a picture.